In this video, we go to an island nation home to some of the most majestic nature you can find on planet Earth, Jamaica. Little did you know, this island nation is home to a nuclear reactor. Yes, it's a research reactor called the Slowpoke, hosted at the University of West Indies, ICENS, or the International Center for Environmental and Nuclear Sciences. So welcome to another reactor video tour. It was a true pleasure to be invited to this nation by Dr. Charlyne Smith, a nuclear engineer and ambassador for nuclear energy in Jamaica. She brought together subject matter experts from across the world to participate at an SMR Symposium at the University of Technology Jamaica, with the purpose of capacity building and inspiring the next generation of young nuclear professionals in the country. It felt incredible to be part of this initiative. So let's jump right into the reactor tour.
All right, friends, so here we are in the Slowpoke reactor. It's a pool-type reactor, getting a shot of it right here.
For Slowpoke reactor, and Slowpoke is an acronym for safe, low power, critical experiment. Critical with a K, because we know the multiplication factor symbol is K. All right, so that's where the name comes from. So it's a 20 kilowatt tanking pool reactor. 7 Slowpoke reactors were commissioned, and this is the only one to be commissioned outside of Canada.
It was a real privilege to get exclusive access and, most importantly, stand right on top of the reactor pool. It was a rare experience.
Checking out the Slowpoke reactor core. It's first Slowpoke outside of Canada to host the reactor. To host this reactor, got the reactivity control devices here, and yeah, just experiencing this Cherenkov glow. It's great to see and learn from the wonderful staff here about neutron activation analysis. No, it's okay as well. Yeah, we got a little bit of the Cherenkov glow, and yeah, just experiencing this, just standing on top of a reactor pool, it's just it's phenomenal.
Dr. Charlyne Smith also shares her thoughts on the value this reactor brings.
So when we start to think about deploying nuclear energy in Jamaica, yes, we're not starting from from ground zero, right? We do have the nuclear research reactor. Yes, it's used for research and not energy per se, but technically there's a fission reaction happening in the reactor, right? It's producing energy. It's the same mechanism. What we want to do is basically build that up, right, to expand that in the form where we're not just harnessing the neutrons to do neutron activation analysis, but we're also harnessing the energy that is produced through the same reaction that is happening in this type of reactor. I mean, although Jamaica is in the process of considering nuclear, while we're considering nuclear, we need support from North America, from the EU, from other countries all over the world to be able to effectively and safely build out our nuclear energy economy that will have a global impact with respect to reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and actually to help to improve and to build on energy security globally.
Next, we get a chance to check out a model of the reactor core. It's the size of a small soccer ball, and it does remind me of a mini CANDU reactor. So here's a close-up of the model.
Thank you. Oh, what does that mean? All right, friends, so you are seeing the Slowpoke reactor core. It kind of looks like a small CANDU, to be honest. Like a calandria? Yeah. So honestly, it's really cool to see the first Slowpoke reactor outside of Canada here in Jamaica, and cool to see that it was funded, the history behind it, and why the country pursued it. So honestly, phenomenal. Honestly, just yeah, this looks really cool. Like what are these pins right here?
These are the fuel rods.
Oh, these are the fuel rods.
Yeah, actual fuel.
Okay, and then what are the spaces in between?
For the water to flow through and cool the core.
Okay, and this is heavy water moderated? Or?
No. Normal water.
Okay.
Light water.
Phenomenal, yeah. Just taking a look at this core. It is pretty heavy. Looks can be deceiving. Like right now, like my muscles are kind of getting a nice workout. What's this made out of?
What's this?
It's iron or?
What's this? It's zirconium.
Oh, this is zirconium.
Next, we have Lisa Marshall, the president of the American Nuclear Society, sharing her thoughts on the Slowpoke.
This is fascinating. This is wonderful. A treasure for the Caribbean, a treasure for Jamaica in particular, to have this facility for training, for research, and for a number of different investigations and act as the foundation for the future of energy production in Jamaica and for the Caribbean. It's wonderful.
This is very, very exciting for a nuclear engineer to be at the site, especially in Jamaica, where you can have the sun, the beach, and then a reactor. So yeah, combo. But the capacities of the reactor like this is a lot of things we can learn about the forensics, about agriculture. We can learn what kind of food contaminants we have in food or soil. So those are the things we can learn with nuclear technology, and you don't have to be scared of it.
The main use for this reactor is for a technique called neutron activation analysis, or short for NAA. It's a sensitive, non-destructive method for determining the elemental composition of a sample. Here, scientific officer and reactor operator O'Shane Hamilton explains how neutron activation analysis works.
Or theoretically, neutron activation analysis. Let's talk about that for a second. So what happens is that you have the soil sample or your environmental sample, and the neutron coming from the reactor hits a sample, activates element in a sample. Those elements give off characteristic gamma rays. So it means that you can identify what elements are in your sample using these gamma rays. And they can also be quantified. So we have a calculation program over there that we use to quantify those elements. So it's a very powerful technique. We can get up to about 40, 50 elements using this analytical technique. And as I said, we've used this technique over there to do multidisciplinary studies. So it's very useful for us. And that's the reason why we have the reactor, because the reactor provides a neutron for this analytical technique.
Here's a peek of the irradiation controller, which is used to insert samples into various areas within the reactor core. O'Shane gives us a demonstration of how the irradiation controller works by sending off a sample into the Slowpoke.
Sample, of course, reactor is off in any case, but so you basically just open the breech here. This is a compressed air operated system. And so when I send my sample in, you'll actually see the sample going down through the tube, so you can actually look there to see the sample going down if you want. Oh. Yeah, so we have 4 sides, as I mentioned. We have 2 on that side and 2 on this side.
Let us know when it goes down.
Huh?
If you can let us know when it goes down.
Yes, as soon as I press in, you'll see it, because it shoots down effectively, okay? So I'm gonna go in 3, 2, 1. So normally it doesn't make that sound because we fixed this the other day, so that's why it sounds like that. And I'm going to take out the sample now, and it will come back up. Yeah. Hear that? Yeah.
Senior engineer and reactor manager Hale Dennis deep dives into the refueling campaign that took place for this reactor.
That was the idea. It was just designed to have one fuel loading, and at the end of that, the reactor would be decommissioned. It wasn't designed with refueling in mind. Also, this was the last Slowpoke to be commissioned with highly enriched uranium. One more was commissioned after this in Canada, but with LEU. So the first reactor that was converted to LEU, the first Slowpoke reactor, was in 1997 in Canada, where we used a lot of that experience to do our conversion a number of years later. That was in 97, and ours was converted in 2015 to LEU.
Which one was that? Like Queen's University one or UFT?
No, Montreal. Yeah, Polytechnic Montreal. And the one at RMC was recently refueled, the one that was commissioned with LEU. Yeah. So one thing that we are extremely proud of here, a lot of the work related to the conversion of the reactor was with our local staff here. So we used the experience of the conversion in capacity building. So we are moving more and more towards becoming, let's say, self-reliant, where the services to the reactor are concerned.
You mentioned earlier graduate students working here.
A few of them. So we have, let's say, two classes of reactor operators. One is licensed, what we now call a reactor user. They can be licensed or authorized to operate the pneumatic transfer system, to insert samples and remove samples from the reactor. Then we have the reactor operators, who are usually only permanent full-time staff here at ICENS. So while a lot of students are involved in the analysis of their own samples, we do not let students operate the reactor.
It was a truly memorable experience learning about the world-class research taking place at the ICENS facility, seeing the only Slowpoke reactor outside of Canada operating, as well as the Caribbean's first and only research reactor was also quite the experience. Next, let's jump into the symposium itself, where I speak to Dr. Charlyne Smith about the nuclear symposium she hosted, bringing together experts from across the world in Jamaica to share knowledge, expertise, and inspire the next young generation of nuclear experts in the nation. This symposium was hosted at the University of Technology Jamaica.
Thank you for accepting the invitation to come here to be able to share your background and experience with the Jamaican people in an effort to desensitize nuclear energy, as it is a topic that is being heavily discussed moving forward, because Jamaica is considering implementing nuclear energy in their energy grid in the future. My hope for Jamaica in this process of consideration is to be able to make sure that the country, not only just the leaders, but the students, the members of the public, and other stakeholders, correct information, or just have a fundamental understanding of the technology, the industry, the history, its present status, and the future prospect of the industry, so that we can moving forward, we can have more informed conversations around nuclear energy as a whole, around conventional technology, and around newer technology that we are considering to deploy in Jamaica. And so this is kind of something that I put together as a conference where I'm bringing in the experts, the people who have been working in the field, the folks who work at the power plants, the folks who work at nuclear manufacturing companies that can tell you with very high technical degree, whether we want to go into technical specifics, or if we want to break down those concepts, we have the right people that are here to be able to explain to you why nuclear energy is safe, and that when we're talking about nuclear energy and safety in general, that no energy source is void of risk, and that when we are talking about implementing different energy sources, we really need to balance different attributes of these energy sources so that we can make the best decision for a specific region like Jamaica.
So tell us about your passions around youth engagement. What are your goals with engaging the youth here, the next generation of nuclear here in Jamaica?
Well, to be honest with you, the youth are the ones that are going to, if we do decide to go the nuclear energy route, the youth are the ones that are going to be, in that industry as it expands when we are ready to deploy certain technologies. And so getting them excited from a younger age, getting them interested in not just nuclear engineering, in STEM in general, because when they see people like you and me, they can envision themselves in these careers, in these positions, because they've seen that it's something that can be attained. And also us being here, being able to tell them our paths or journeys of how we got there, it's something that they can themselves consider and think of how they need to plan for their future to be able to get in these industries. So it's really just about, getting students excited, igniting passion towards a certain field. It doesn't have to be nuclear engineering, of course. STEM, is something that I generally advocate for. And so when we're focusing on the youth, they're curious. They ask a lot of questions. I think as you get older, people just stop asking questions. They stop being curious. And I think targeting the students, targeting the youth from a young age, they will be able to, they're the ones effectively that are going to drive the momentum in the direction that we would need the industry to go if we were to deploy in Jamaica. And so having them as the fuel, giving them all the information they need, introducing the technologies, introducing the fields of study in a way that's exciting, that gets them riled up. We did the cloud chamber experiment as a part of the boot camp. The students were really, really excited about that because they were able to see the trails left behind by the alpha and beta particles. And so they're able to visualize the remnants of radiation. And those are things that, really gets students excited. It leaves an impact and it gets them talking about certain fields or certain areas that they wouldn't have discussed, whether in classes or otherwise before.
Next, I speak to Gustavo Pereira, a nuclear professional from Brazil. You might recognize him from our Japan travel adventure, but we had the chance to reconnect at the symposium. He shares his thoughts on his experiences.
I think one of the highlights was the interest of high school students here in the topic, which was impressive. They were actually able to afterwards go through a competition, and everyone was pretty surprised with the amount of information they could gather in in just 3 days. And yeah, I think we could reinforce as an industry that our main objectives should be always public acceptance. We had a lot of highlights here that I could say, but I think the willingness of the Jamaican professionals to actually consider nuclear energy and the impacts on the outcome of global warming was extremely important, and it was a pleasure to see that people actually care.
Dr. Zayar Min is also one of the researchers at the University of Technology Jamaica who chaired the symposium. He shares his thoughts on the past few days.
I'm the head of research development and consultancy in the Faculty of Science and Sport, and I was asked to come and help chair the symposium today, following up from our nuclear energy forum that we had 2 weeks ago. And it's been, first of all, it's been an honor, but it's been some excellent talks, not just from the presenters that were invited here, but the interaction that we got to see with the students especially, I think, has been tremendous here. And the collaborative efforts, the Energy Forum 2 weeks ago had government officials, the presidents of the universities in Jamaica, from Caribbean Maritime University, Northern Caribbean University, University of Technology, University of the West Indies, as well as the International Center for ICENS, Energy for Nuclear Sciences as well. And to see that expanded and continued now with our international collaborators, such as yourself and Dr. Smith from the University of Florida, amongst many others here, it's great to see that the collaborative efforts continuing.
Tell me a little bit about your experiences with the symposium. I know South Africa plays a really unique role when it comes to nuclear power generation. How was the experience kind of sharing some of those lessons learned here at the symposium?
What I realized is that as the world, we just share the same challenges, and those challenges include the energy security. I mean, if you look at Jamaica, their energy, it gets imported from other countries, and it's just most of it is fossil fuels, and so I think we share challenges, and I do think that we also need to start, sharing the solutions. And coming from a country like South Africa, which also has most of its electricity coming from fossil fuels, which is coal, I think Jamaica or Jamaicans can learn a lot from a country like South Africa that also has a nuclear, by the way. When I spoke during our panel session, I did mention that if a country like South Africa in Africa was able to do it, so can Jamaicans.
Tell us a little bit about what your lecture was about. What type of messages were you trying to drive home with this young audience?
I think for me, the key for this audience was to emphasize the importance of having a 360 view of the world, in the sense that I emphasize a lot the importance of thinking forward, thinking in the moment, and thinking backward. So I use the dragonfly analogy because I think as an industry, as a people, as a world, we need more sort of a 360-degree thinking. Instead of just thinking about what's happening now, we need to think about what has happened in the past. But most important, we need to start thinking about what's going to happen in the future. Using that lens as we design public policy, as we design business models, as we design solutions for the future, I think is the best way to go. So that was the key message I was trying to convey to the young people. Think big, think broad, and don't limit your imagination.
In the next part of this video, O'Neill Josephs, the head of the School of Engineering at the University of Technology Jamaica, takes us across campus to tour this campus, the facilities, as well as taste test some of the mangoes and fruits that this campus has to offer. Before we walk around campus, let's get an aerial view. Now check out this. It's definitely surreal being surrounded by this mountainous view. Here's a shot of the university's engineering building. Yes, we've also got some solar panels providing that clean source of electricity. Another highlight on this campus is the track. Yes, this is where several top athletes across Jamaica have come in the past to train, including the fastest man in history, Usain Bolt. Mangoes are the king of fruits, and here on campus, there are lots of them.
This is what we call a blackie mango tree in Jamaican terms. Blackie mango tree. We call it blackie because it slightly changes color green when it's ripe. So for example, here's a ripe one, and a green one doesn't look far different at all. It's just a different shade of green, perhaps mixed with a little yellowing of the fruit. So yeah, so we call this blackie. Very, very sweet.
So this is the mango, and you can see the sweet nectar right here, just overflowing from it. And the smell, oh my god, the fragrance is very nice. Beautiful fragrance right here. So apparently this can be eaten, and yeah, I'm looking forward to just trying it out. I'm gonna do this. All right, I'm gonna bite into it. Whoa! Look at that. This is sweet.
And that's not very ripe.
Yeah, it's ripe enough for me. Like holy cows. Damn, that's good. How is it?
It's the only way to have mango. You peel it with your teeth, then you scrape it, and then you eat the fleshy part.
How to eat a mango 101.
That this particular mango tree is representing two different species, right? I'm seeing a species here that is producing what looks like a blackie mango. As you can see, the sizes and when they are ripe, how they look. But then on this side, what I'm seeing is what appears to be another species, right? Of different size, shape, and color when ripe. And in fact, right now you're looking at perhaps the ripest mango in the world right now. That's just bearing down at us. I seriously want to get that one, and we're gonna make an effort to do so. That mango is crazy huge. It's crazy huge.
Unfortunately, we weren't lucky enough to get our hands on that huge mango, but we did explore a few other unique fruit trees on campus.
So what are we seeing here?
So, okay, so this is a rare occurrence on the campus. This is a jackfruit tree. These fruits are in pods, like hundreds of those fruits. Those fruits are in the pods. And literally, we have hundreds of those fruit growing on this tree here, which seemingly is very old. But as you can see here, loads of jackfruit.
Are these ripe, by the way?
I think those that are darker color are the ones that are ripe. But
Interesting. Super spiky. Really cool getting a close-up look at one of these jackfruit. Like check this out. Like it's heavy and spiky.
Because Jamaicans love jackfruit. So this is not usual. So what you're seeing here is an unusual growth of this tree here. It's quite unusual.
Like what's unusual about it?
The fact that it's here. As I said, where you find jackfruits are in the rural areas. I couldn't tell you. I don't know if it has to do with the temperature and so on, but you'll not find jackfruit trees in Kingston. It's very rare. But to have one in the middle of campus is quite interesting.
Yeah.
Best for last, we come across Jamaica's national fruit called the Ackee. It's probably one of the most unique fruits I've seen so far. O'Neill tells us a bit more about these trees.
It's a fruit that is within a sack. Ackee tree is a tree that produces a fruit that is in a sack, and I'm just gonna pick one for you here. This one is not quite ready. it's still green, and I'm not going to pretend as if I'm an expert in explaining Ackees, but at the moment the fruit is on the inside, and when it's ready, it will naturally open up and release all the toxins and make the fruit available for use. And that use is complemented by proper cooking and seasoning, and it is complemented by other additions of meat or whatever it is that you choose, vegetables and so on of your choice, that gives it a really nice flavor. This is really good to eat with yam, boiled yam, banana, Irish potatoes, sweet potatoes. All of these stuff are really nice to have with this fruit, Jamaican Ackee.
What does it taste like?
That's an interesting question. It has a very distinguished, unique taste. There's very little, it almost has a buttery taste, and a buttery texture. If you were to think about, let's see, I'd say a buttery taste and a buttery texture, but just a little harder in terms of the texture. But yeah, it's really good. I must say, you'd have to try it to really understand what I'm talking about. But yeah, really nice food. Jamaican Ackee. Interesting. I can pick one too. All right, so what you saw earlier was a closed Ackee, and here's one that is open, and you can see the fruit.
Oh, it's white. The flesh is white.
Yeah.
And those are the seeds.
And this is the seed. So you have to remove the seed and remove this pink layer on the inside here before cooking, and you have to cook properly.
Like like fry it or
boil initially. Well, any type of cooking that would, but we tend to boil it and then kind of cook it down and stew it down. So boil and then stew down. All right.
So for a meal, you need like 10 of these.
Yeah. No, for me, 10 would be like 2 servings.
Okay.
So, typically 12. So 12 would be like 2 servings. And when I say 12, I mean 12 fruit in itself that has 3. It tends to have 3 primarily in the pod, but can have up to 6. Rarely 6, mostly 3, but on other occasions you'd see 4. But if you're very lucky, for once in your lifetime, you'd see a pod with 6. And I've seen a pod.
That's like a 3-leaf clover, right?
Yeah,
or like a 4-leaf clover.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Super rare.
Yeah. I mean, super rare. I've seen it maybe once.
Wow.
Yes.
Lastly, O'Neill takes me around the university's engineering department, as well as the various labs and facilities situated across campus. It was really cool to learn about the capabilities on campus. So we end off this adventure by